and have requested a new independent investigation. They recently met with the district's in-house counsel and anti-bullying coordinator, Philip Stern, who has assured them that he will continue the investigation, parents said. District spokesperson Suzanne Turner said the district could not comment on the investigation as it related to personnel matters. In a statement he read at last night's meeting, Acting Superintendent Jim Memley said that he instructed Stern to dedicate all the resources of his office to ensure that our athletes and extracurricular staff continues to receive training and support to assist their efforts to comply with all relevant laws, including the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. Adam Joseph said the board had to pay attention to the significant number of parents who said their children were bullied. His son played on the Cougars and now plays in college. Joseph said that Fischetti did everything he could to derail his son's future career, including speaking to the media about an injury he suffered during the recruiting season. Quote, how does publicly humiliating teenage boys encourage their development, asked Joseph. He said many other parents were afraid to speak publicly or complain to the district because they worry the coach will take it out on their child. The fear of retaliation is real, said Joseph. Brian Clark, a parent of a player, called Fischetti negative, mean-spirited, and hateful. He cited an instance where Fischetti said to his younger son in health class, speaking of his older son who had played for the team, I hope you throw better than your brother. Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Clark said when one student quit the team in frustration, the coach told his teammates it showed what a pussy he was. One current team member, senior Malcolm Stern, Mark Stern's son, said what defines a good coach is how they behave during a winning season or a losing season. The Cougars' season was 10-18, 2014. Calling his tenure at Columbia High School Cougar the worst time of my life, Stern said he had no support from the coaching staff. He was benched after speaking to the coaches about his concern. I was left for dead. I was garbage, he said. I've been called a pussy plenty of times. He spoke of one player who was so discouraged by being repeatedly berated by coaches that he briefly shut himself up in his equipment bin. Wow, in an equipment bin. Stern, who said he would no longer play baseball for Columbia High School, said he spoke to Principal Aaron extensively about the issues. It's not fun playing baseball here, he said. Meanwhile, a vocal contingent of former players and parents vociferously disputed the characteristics of Fischetti as a bully and asked the board to retain him. Getting rid of these coaches will destroy the Cougar baseball brand, said one CHS grad and former player. Another said Fischetti and Buccio, who was the coach before Fischetti was appointed, taught us how to become men. Bill Crias, president of the Columbia High School Baseball Boosters, said that coaching a high school team is challenging, and parents are quick to blame the coach when their children are not playing well. He said some parents have a delusional lack of perspective when it comes to their own child's playing abilities. While he stressed that there is no place for bullying or intimidation, he said the coaches sometimes raise their voices and use salty language. Marissa Tamayo, former president of the Boosters, whose son played on the team, told parents you can't coddle your child, and parents should have their children advocate for themselves. I think that's the person who was responsible for bringing in IB. I believe that. Fischetti told the Village Green he obviously disagreed with comments made by parents. Addressing the board, he said he had grown up in the community, graduated from Columbia High School, and had been a teacher and a coach for many years. I absolutely breathe the red and black. In 16 years in this community, I've never been accused of any of these things, he said. If there was a history, I think that there would have been shown up before tonight. It would have shown up before tonight. Board of Ed member Madhu Pai said in an email to the Village Green, the board has an obligation to look into statements made by parents. Pai, she said, was struck by Malcolm Stern's comments. His bravery should be rewarded not only by acknowledgement, but also by action. She continued, while it's acceptable that coaches have different styles, we do ask teachers in the classroom to differentiate based on the needs and motivation of individual students. I don't see why we wouldn't hold the same expectation of other staff, including coaches and other extracurricular teachers. Pai also said she was troubled to hear of the retribution for speaking out. This is not the atmosphere we want. This is not the first time I've heard this type of feedback. And so it's yet another point for us to discuss as a board. So, and the article continues to go on. It's a long article.
I tell you, Marjorie, in sports, the squeaky wheels, the kids who are not playing. As a matter of fact, I'll give you an example. At St. Dominic's Academy, which was one of the top track and field schools in New Jersey, the coach won them many state championships. But there was this one disgruntled parent. Her daughter wasn't one of the best on the team. Her daughter didn't make a relay, and she felt that her daughter should have been on the relay. Right? So, I won't say trump up stuff, but she brought stuff up. She made stuff come to life. And she talked about the coach doing this, and it's a male coaching females. So you know how that could be quickly. Once you hear something with, the S in front of it, and the L at the end, sexual harassment. Okay. You know what I mean? You quickly want to make sure that. So, to make a long story short, they fired the coach. And the same girl who. So the team got disbanded. They went, some kids transferred to Union Catholic and all of that stuff. Because of one kid. She wasn't good enough. She just wasn't good enough. But you as a parent have to sit down and say to you have to be honest. And a lot of parents are not honest. They're looking through their lens. They want their kid to be what they really can't be.
Yes, they're living vicariously through their children.
Exactly, exactly. They're trying to live through their kids. But, time has passed. Time has passed. I always told my son, I said, listen, if I'm going to pay all this money for you to do all these travel soccer, and I'm all the way in Virginia, and I'm in North Carolina, you got to work hard at it. Just like I want you to work hard in school, I want you to work hard at whatever sport this is. That means to say you got to make sacrifices. That means to say, you got to give up video games, man. You got to give up skateboarding because you need time. You need time. You got to put the time in. So some of these folks, I'm talking from experience, their kids don't want to put the time in, but they want to get the rewards. It's just like in my classes. Some people don't want to study. And when time comes to take the test, you know what they say? Oh, professor, this test was too hard. So it's funny. On Monday, I put up a slide before class by Brian Tracy, No Excuses. That was my motivational speech for the day. But they didn't know that because I knew kids in the class were going to come with excuses as to why they didn't do that good on the test. See, you get into their minds. So they don't know you're getting into their minds. So, one kid said, well, professor, it could be this or that. I said, no, it couldn't be. It can only be one answer. But however, if we have a discussion, I believe it could have been one or the other answer, I'll increase the grade. I'll increase the grade. But, so now what some kids try to do is just try to argue something to see if it will stick. It's like, you throw up all these things up, and see which one sticks, and none of them don't stick. So what I'm saying is that if you want to be good in school, Marjorie, you got to study, right?
I would hope so.
You got to study. If you want to be good in sports, right?
Right.
You got to train more than the other kids are training. You got to sacrifice. It's all about sacrifices. And some kids don't want to make the sacrifice. They want to live vicariously through their parents because their parents can pull strings for them. So by the parents pulling strings for them, the kid doesn't work that hard. Because don't worry, my parents will go talk to the coach. All right? My father is a doctor. My father is a big-time doctor. My father is a lawyer. And that's part of the problem. So you see, you didn't have to deal with that because
That's right, because I don't know anything about sports and I don't care.
Yeah. But I dealt with
Now,
it.
what happens to all these people who, why? Is your son still on an athletic scholarship?
No, you finished college.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
And paid for 4 years?
Yeah.
That's great. That's probably not. I think there are a lot of people who would like stuff like that, and it doesn't happen for them.
It doesn't happen for them.
And there are a lot of people who want to have who are athletes, but are not scholars and cannot handle school either.
That's part of the problem, too. And there are some people who think they're better than they really are. Some people think they're better than they are. Because you're always going to think highly of yourself, right? You're always going to think that, I'm the greatest. But it's not what you think. It's what that other coach, especially if you're in high school, it's what that other coach think. Right? So you got to see, or you got to think, or your parents got to help you think, what is this coach looking for? And the coaches can tell right away. They can tell if you're a hard worker. They can tell if you're lazy. They can tell if you try to fake the funk. Some people try to fake the funk. They try to make it look good. They can tell. And they can tell if you're a spoiled brat as well. If the first time the coach yelled at you or screamed at you, you go in the corner and cry or you go and complain, he knows that maybe what...
So coaches have the right to call people names and yell and scream at them. And
if you're in football, they call you worse than that. In football? Oh, my God.
Football or soccer?
Football.
Mm-hmm.
They call you worse than that. Now, I'm not saying that the coaches should call. I don't call any of my runners on my team that. I don't do that. That's not my style. Everybody has a different style. Right? Some coaches, man, will curse you out. Some coaches will come and say, listen, go home, don't come back. You wasting my time. And why you wasting my time? I ain't got time to waste. If you take it from a negative perspective, you're not going to get anything out of it.
Okay. What else, Mr. Coach? People take sports so seriously.
It is no. It is serious. It is very serious, because you see, when parents are looking for their kids to get, but listen to this, Marjorie. Also, I also believe though that a coach should not give a negative recommendation to about anybody. Like, for example, if you're a high school coach and I'm a college coach, and I come and ask you about, hey, how is John James doing? You said to me, man, John James is the worst. You don't want to recruit that guy. He's really bad. Or Susan she lazy. She don't want to do no work. I would not do that.
But what if it were true?
No, but I would not do that. What I would say is that I don't know if she's a right fit for your school. That sounds different, right? I don't know if she can handle the academics at your school.
So it's all...
Huh?
I mean, that's all nice and pleasant, but why would you not want to tell the truth?
It's not telling the truth, Marjorie. It's the way you tell it. You tell the truth, but you
You're
don't
just going to accentuate someone's positives.
Yeah. You don't just throw the person under the bus. I've asked some coach about some kids. They want to tell me she's a waste of time. Don't even. I wouldn't even go talk to her. I'm like, wow, man. You're the coach. You got to look out for the athletes. You got to find something good to say. You got to. And you could, but you don't want to. Now, suppose it was your daughter or your son. Wouldn't you want somebody to say something positive?
If they're not athletes, I wouldn't say, yeah, take my child.
No, but if I'm a coach and I'm looking to recruit them, means to say that I've seen something in them. If I'm going to talk to you as a coach about one of your athletes, means to say I'm interested in them.
Okay. See, this is, again, here we are in a language, whole world that I have absolutely no clue of. So, you know what? And the thing about me is if I don't know, I'm